Welcome to episode 28 of Word to Your Mama. I'm Ritzy P. Today we have Maricel Sison. She's a photographer. She's the principal at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. She's also the founder of Ladies of Sound. She's also one of the only people that I can talk to that understands what it is to try to maintain your identity while dating someone that we get into of who I call is not a civilian. So that's very unique. And so I'm glad that she's around, and I'm glad that not only that she's around, but that I like her. That could be an issue too, right? Your partners, co-workers, bandmates, whatever, you might not like them, but I like her. I love her, and she's been doing some amazing things. We get into how it was for her to go from, being a photographer, creative, and shifting where things just happened, where she had to start, running the intricacies of the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, where she really just came up with a custom infrastructure for this DJ school. The trials and tribulations of opening a world famous DJ school. Like I said, maintaining your own identity while being in a relationship, the growth she's had over the past couple of years, and so much more. We got questions and comments from the audience. The Supernatural Bear, of course, is going to have something special for his Auntie Maricel, and it's going to be good times. So the last episode, we had a little bit of audio issues. This episode, we have a tiny bit, just a change in the quality after the 11-minute mark. But I promise you, folks, I was having mic issues and connection issues and blah, blah, blah. I changed up the system and how we do things. So as you know, I record a bunch of interviews beforehand. And so the next ones after this, boom, another system. So there hopefully shouldn't be any issues. But, it's a pandemic still. And it's internets, interwebs. So let's get into this with Maricel.
All right.
Yay! Maricel. So good. Okay. We finally did it, dude. I'm so excited. Because we've been trying to just connect just in general, pre-pandemic anyway. So the fact that I get to connect, get to catch up, see what the fuck's happening, and then get to learn a little bit more about you. Because we, as friends, you might have known someone for a long ass time, but you don't get to know the intricacies of their history or their journey. So this has been super fun doing this with a bunch of people that I love. So gracias, Maricel, for doing this. But I want to start off, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. First of all, I'm so super excited, to be here, and so honored that you asked me to, be on your podcast. And I'm also super happy that you're actually doing this because, you're so dope, and I've always admired you as well. And there's that. Just to see you, branch out and then start this, it's hell yeah, keep going. So,
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm good. I guess you can say that this is one of the blessings of the pandemic, right? That, with everybody's lives on the day-to-day being so busy, that at least now people are, it's normal to connect virtually.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that we're able to sit down and catch up, and, not in a noisy musical environment, which is usually how we're hanging out, which is why we never get to actually get to the nitty gritty of just who we are and what's going on outside of all of that, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'm doing good. Blessed that the school Beat Junkie Institute of Sound is reopened. We reopened in March, and
Nice.
Ladies of Sound is making strides as well, and yeah, just keeping it moving, getting back into the swing of, work. And I'm excited for that. I did appreciate being home with the family, of course, but
Yeah.
now it's another adjustment that we're going through, and I'm ready for it. So.
Awesome. So overall, the past, because we're over a year now, because this is April when we're recording this, April 1st. Um, would you say the transition was hard for you guys? Um, because it's you for people that don't know, if you could please explain to them what the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound is and Lady of Sound is, because I think it's also very important, because what you guys are doing is um it's really, if you break it down, I think the essence is legacy, right? And continuing teaching an amazing, very important art form. So could you tell the folks what both of those things are, please?
Of course, yes. So the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound is a DJ school located in Glendale, California. We are dedicated to preserving the art form of DJing, because yes, DJing is an art form.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important for us to pass on these skills and these techniques so that the art form lasts and the youth knows like whose shoulders they stood on to get here. And also, what is really beautiful about what we do is, and this is only something that we had learned in opening the school, is that it does more than just teaching you DJing. What we do actually changes people's lives. And that has been the great joy in my life in working at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. I've literally seen it change people in such a positive way. And, you know, it also is another way to, people have called what we do at the school therapy.
Mm.
It's helped people come out of their shell. It's, again, like I said, just given people this confidence that I don't even think they know existed. And it's through learning how to DJ, right? With this passion that they have for music, or the curiosity that they had about DJing, or maybe they saw somebody that inspired them to want to do the same thing and didn't know how to do it. So, at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, what's really amazing over there is, obviously you're not just learning from anybody, you are learning from people who have done this for, 30 plus years, love what they do, um, you know, have gone through all the gamuts of what a DJ does, right? From, this was something that they loved when they were kids. This is something that was a shared passion between all of them. From there, they took it with like battling and, won championships together as as a team, and became friends, and, shared that knowledge within each other. All of them also had their own success individually, as well as a crew. And now in this stage of their lives, passing on the knowledge that they've accumulated over these 30 plus years, I would say is definitely something that's full circle for them, right? Because to share this, from being inspired by someone like Grandmaster DXT, Grandmaster Flash, Grand Wizard Theodore, is something that I think the newer generation, if they aren't shown where this came from and how this was invented. It was pure accident. It was fate. It wasn't like I'm going to be this DJ. It was just this beautiful time in New York when hip hop was being birthed, right? And now hip hop has just become such an influential genre of music. I mean, the influential genre of music, and DJing is a big part of that. Obviously, it's a pillar of hip hop, right? So. For us to be able to pass on these technical skills that, help people's mental health, give people confidence, and also make them some pretty badass DJs, is something that we're really, truly proud of. That's what our motto is it's building better DJs. So.
Nice. And so for those who don't know, what she's talking about, veterans, like you might not be familiar with the Beat Junkies. If you just Google, you'll see what we're talking about. Like you're at this school and you're learning the fundamentals from veterans, people in the game, like that,
Yeah.
the DJs, people that know, the people are in the know them and respect them. So it's really just doing it for the culture, and I love what you guys do. But before, you know, diving into this is really about you, right? And so I wanted to kind of figure out and let people know how we met, why we met, right? Because I think that's
Hmm.
like an interesting story, and I have some questions on that too. But
Okay.
I know you before the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound, and I met you through Dilated and our
Hmm.
connection there. But I knew you as a photographer, so I think it's very
Yeah.
interesting how it's morphed into what you're doing now. As people I've asked around, they're like, think of you as the principal, the den mama of this, making shit happen on so many. You wear so many different hats, but tell me, like, how was that journey from photographer, right,
Mhm.
to going to this? And did I meet you at I don't know, did I meet you at a concert, or I
You
don't
know,
remember.
um, I feel like maybe because we have a lot of mutual friends.
True.
I know you're really close with Assad. Shout out to
That's
Assad.
sad.
I would shoot their parties.
True.
Every party that they would throw, and you probably saw my pictures before you even met me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming. But yeah, that was it was an unexpected transition in my life, because it wasn't something that I was aiming for. I never said, "Oh, I'm going to go be in this DJ school." That was not the plan. um, I had been in the photography game for, I want to say 7 or 8 years. Before I transitioned, I had did everything under the sun. I mean, if you've seen my work, it was not like you could put me in one place. I did everything, from weddings to food photography to event photography, and then from there it was like different kinds of events. It was just like nightlife, and then it was the Festival of Books. It was, so many different things, like Martin Luther King Day Parade. And I never really put myself in one specific place when I was a photographer, which I think was so essential to my growth, not only as a person, but I feel like it kind of helped me deal with just how different my life would be at any given moment, because that's the environment that I was in, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'm photographing here, and I have my mindset on, this is what I'm shooting, and then someone that's what I'm working with, or someone that's part of that event, is going to say, oh, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. So I would have to shift all the time. And so when it came to this, it was it's funny too, because it was like I hit like a milestone in my birthday, and I don't want to say how old I'm gonna be, but and now that I look back on it, I just, back then I was younger, and I didn't realize I was just reaching another transition in my life, as a,
Mm.
just in general. So I initially had got brought on to take pictures of the school.
Mm.
That was it. Like literally, that was it. They had been already, the space had been accumulated, and they were building it out. I would talk back and forth on seeing what that looked like, but I wasn't part of that plan. And so, I said, yeah, sure, I'll help you do that. And then, through my photography, because I had to do a lot of things myself, so I knew how to use Squarespace and market myself. I had to do everything like that on my own. So all these questions started to come up, right? It's like, okay, we're going to do the photos, but where are you guys going to put the photos? What site? Did you buy the .com? Where's the, so then I started asking a bunch of questions, and, I love my guys, but
They
they
weren't
were, they
thinking.
were,
Yeah.
no, they were, yeah, it
Yeah.
was like, I saw that it was not part of, it's like they're worrying about the physical, and like what's going to go into that just everything that I was asking was basically not on their mind at that time. So I just said, okay, well, I got you guys. Let me just go ahead and figure all of that out. And then that's kind of how it started. I basically figured out to building out the infrastructure. Took me about a year. It's like there's no software for specifically what we're doing, like DJ classes, and it was so funny because when I would talk to, people in trying to build this out, they're like, so what are you trying to build? Like a DJ school. I would even Google like how, DJ schools and like, what was the infrastructure? Like, how did that even work? Like, so I basically just put my head down and just said, okay, I'm going to build out what this is going to look like and then run it by the guys. And, I just got the thumbs up. Yeah, sure. Yes. Again, it wasn't hard for me in that sense because I had already did this for myself as a photographer. I had to figure all of that out. So I just basically applied everything I knew from my corporate job as a banker to a photographer, everything that I had just, in my life. I'm like, okay, well, let's apply it here. What can I apply here? And if I don't know, I'm self-taught in everything that I do, even photography. So I did the same thing. And next thing you know, we opened. And the funny thing is, so nobody really knows this. So I built the entire back end. I even got an app going. And the place that I had initially gotten the software was located in Ireland, I think, or Scotland, one of those two countries. So they did not have the same hours as us. So, and they only gave you like a certain amount of time to talk to them. So here I am, odd hours of the days, trying to figure out how to get our system going in terms of like, oh, this is a certain class. And when you sign up, it's going to enroll the person. And then when they're enrolled, it's just a lot of that. I signed up. So when we opened, it was super. We had an amazing. You were there, actually, right? Awesome. Yeah. So you saw we do this big party to celebrate the grand opening. It was insane. People were literally like sardines inside of the school and outside of the school, and super fun event. People were signing up, and it was all great. And then at the end of the night, I looked at our backend system and I was like, something isn't working. Basically what I had wanted it to do, it wasn't doing it. There was like some glitch between the app and between the, they offered an app, right? It's like, part of the package you get. And it was not connecting. And we had classes starting the week after because, that was the whole deal, right? I literally had overnight, I had to find a new system and transfer all the information from that. Yeah, transfer that information. So all the students that we had signed up and all the everything, I had to transfer it overnight into a whole nother system by myself because I couldn't get a hold of those people. I literally was manually like name, address, transfer, class, transfer, and have it all match like overnight. And then it was like at that point where I was like, I don't know how this happened, but I'm seemingly integrated myself into the business because if I were to explain this to anybody or train anyone, it would take a long time. I literally built it from scratch that even it took me, shout out to Sammy G, took me literally a whole year to train her because it was so custom. I mean, our entire infrastructure was completely custom because I would hit a snag and I'd have to create how that system would flow and then try to explain it to someone else where it technically doesn't make sense, but because of it's like a DJ school and this is how it works and these are, so yeah, at that point, it kind of became something that just I was like, don't think I'm going anywhere for a while. I started turning down my photography gigs. And I didn't have a problem with it. I was really busy because, again, I was on the operational side, just trying to make sure this place was running smoothly on the back end.
Yeah.
And so, that's basically how it happened. And in terms of, back to your question, in terms of Ladies of Sound, I just quick tidbit on that. I thought I was going to literally be the only woman in school, because as you know, when you go to events, the women that you see at the events are such a small handful of women that you can literally, like, you end up getting to know each other because you're like, yo, there's Mona, or there's Ritzy, though there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. And then you get to know, like, it's a small circle of people.
Yeah.
And, and also it's like women that love hip hop. And then that's also another small circle of
for
people.
Sure. They really love it in a way that's to the same level. Like, because you could be like, oh, I like hip hop, but you just like current stuff. Like, I'm talking about the whole culture, all the elements, the history,
exactly.
and that's another level. So yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And the funny thing is too, I worked so hard to establish my name as a photographer. I really, really busted my ass to, just get to where I wanted to be and be that photographer that everybody would contact, in terms of, any events that they wanted. Like, I just wanted to make a name for myself, and I didn't want it attached to anybody. And I especially didn't want it attached to, my partner or who I was associated with, because pardon my French, but like, fuck that. I worked too damn hard.
Please believe it.
I was going to these gigs by myself. Now that I think about it, I don't know. I would not do that now, but
same. I was going solo too. Same thing. I get it. Yeah.
And I didn't even realize how hard that is for a lot of people in general. I'm just like, oh yeah, just go by yourself. Just meet me up there. They're like, oh, walk in by myself. I say, yeah. I didn't realize I had been doing that as a photographer. I'm just like, dude, you'll see me at the spot. Like, we'll just meet up. Blah blah blah. So, doing all of that. Going home late nights, editing. And then, there was a time where I was working in a corporate job. I would get 2 hours of sleep and, come home late from the club because I was shooting it, and then wake up at 6 to go to work. And you know what I mean? So I was doing that for a while, but I loved what I did. So it didn't matter to me, but I know that I just put in the blood, sweat, and tears in my photography career. And then this happens and I'm like, I'm slowly turning things down, and I because I was always in that culture of hip hop or just nightlife, it almost was an easy transition because I love this shit, and like the DJs are my friends, or like a lot of my friends are just in this industry, or the people that I'm surrounded by, so it wasn't a weird thing for me.
Yeah.
But, I know that there was points where when I started turning down gigs, or I was just like, damn, like that's such I don't know. Like, I just got myself to this place where these opportunities were like, so like amazing. Like, I think one of the last gigs I did, I was actually like at this amazing mansion, just like shooting behind the scenes photos for another photographer. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like architecture and like interior design, all the other things I love. But like, it's just not making sense. My focus and my attention was getting, pulled by the school. But again, it was something I was easily able to let go.
Yeah. And that you wanted to do. But I want to go back to something you were saying, like you didn't want, and I think it, like you're saying, women that love hip hop, small circle. You're it's a smaller pool to choose from to find those people, right? And then you go into a even smaller circle of you and I, where we want to maintain our identities that we worked really hard on while being in a relationship with someone that is not what I call, or what we call civilians. They are not civilians, right?
No.
So that's an even smaller circle. And I don't really have too many people to talk to about that. And I think I find it interesting because you were doing the same thing. I was going to the club solo because I just moved, and I was like, interning at the Wake Up Show and doing all the stuff. And I just loved hip hop. Like, I loved music so much. So it's like you're trying to figure out, how do you fit in? And I was working records and this and that. So you're trying to be in the scene, and it was just easier to roll solo. But also, I didn't really have any girlfriends that loved doing this shit and going to these shows like I did. This was another time in LA. Like, LA was popping. It was like the underground scene, the bigger B shows, all that shit. And it's like you roll solo, right? And then at the same time, you just happen to get in a relationship with someone that is, especially during that time, high profile.
Yeah, that was, it wasn't something that I had expected. It just happened. Obviously, I was known as a photographer. So when that relationship happened, we, both collectively said, like, let's just, keep it on the low for a little bit. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to be like loud and proud about it, especially because I wanted to still continue my photography career, and also I just worked so damn hard to earn my, to earn my space in that industry, that I just didn't want to associate the two. So it was really important for me. And there were times where, like, I would get introduced as so-and-so's girlfriend, and I'd look at them like,
excuse me?
I'll pull them aside. I'm like, my name is Maricel, right? Not so-and-so's girlfriend. And that used to irritate me. And, I never let them know about it. Some people I was comfortable enough to be like, come on, dog. Like, we don't have a name,
Yeah.
And sometimes I could see that it was just like, let me open a door for her, and introduce them. Because I will say, I'm sure you understand too, another thing you deal with being with the type of men that we are with, it opens the door for, like, people to want to be your friend. And then not
for
be
the wrong
genuine.
reason.
Exactly. Which I unfortunately have gone through. So, it's also, it's a lot of like, it takes a certain kind of woman to be with these types of artists. I mean, to be that is not easy. You do need a tough skin.
Yeah.
And you need to just fall when you get up. It's not easy. And then also just trying for us to maintain our own identities at the same time is super, important. I mean, even at the school, like, people didn't know for like a long time until they found my IG, and they're like, what the, you know what I mean? But, it's, for me, it's important. Like, I want you to recognize me as an individual and see the hard work that I do, because it has nothing to do with why I'm here.
Exactly. It's like, this so happens to be my man.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. And I'm glad to hear that you totally understand that, because when I first started, I was, working records and doing all this stuff. So I told him, I was like, listen, I don't want anybody to know for a while. Like, staying competitive in these dynamic times means having the right technology at work for your small or medium-sized business. Whether your goal is to grow, downsize, or modernize, Panoply BPO provides the right combination of tools, support, and affordability necessary to make it a reality. Visit panoplybpo.com. That's PANOPLYBPO.com to schedule your no obligation consultation today. Mention WTYM and get your 13th month of service for free. PanoplyBPO.com. There is a better way. So much so that, someone that we know, Garth Trinidad, just stepped down after 27 years at KCRW.
Yeah, I saw that.
And one of the stories is like, he's one of the first people when I started working records and I had to go to KCRW and stuff. He was very supportive, very nice. He had me record like a promo for Chocolate City in Spanish and stuff like that. But I was so on the DL with our relationship that at the Keeping in Time, the first Keeping in Time, amazing documentary, B+ Coleman, Babu's in it, some of the Beat Junkies are in it. It's like this amazing documentary.
Yeah, I love that documentary.
It's one of the best, and they had an event where I forgot where it was at, but it was an event. It was like they were showing it. It was like after party thing, so much so that Garth was like, "Oh." I wasn't going by Ritzy at the time. I was still going by Maricel, and he was like, "Oh, I want to introduce you to somebody." So he's trying to introduce me to my man, but we were already dating, but nobody knew. Like, that's how DL it was.
Oh, that's so funny.
And so we played it off like we were, like he was introducing us. We were like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you."
So funny. I mean, I
But
completely
you
get
understand,
it.
right?
Yeah, I completely get it. I think it's so funny. There's an incident where we were at I forgot what show it was at, but I was waiting for them to wrap up. You know how they after the end of the show they say what's up to their fans and everything like that. And I was just waiting around, patiently as we do. Again, that's part of what you have to understand. So even if it's late as hell, you just know like, hey, got to be patient. That's who they are, right? And some guy was like, "Oh man, I love them. You know, I, I know Babu." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's my cousin." And I started, I mean, I was like, "Oh, no way." I was like, "Really? That's dope." And he's like, "Yeah, I just seen him at the family parties and stuff." And then I just couldn't help it. I was like, "Come on, dude." I was like, "Really?" Cause I never seen you at the family parties. And he's like, he looked at me like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I know that guy," And so when I let him know who I was, I could tell he was like, "Oh shit." He felt so stupid, but we laughed it off because, I'm just like, "Oh, you're trying to play that like, oh, we're Filipino, so we're related." You know what I mean? And, it was just the look on his face when I was just like, when I said, "I ain't never seen you at the family parties." And then obviously he realized like, "Oh, wait a minute. Why is she saying that?" That was such a funny moment. I'm sure you have a lot, and I have so many as well, where it's just part of like, again, it's part of the territory if you're dating an artist, you know what I mean? So
yeah. And before I wrap that little section up, I just wanted to say, like you were saying, that it takes you have to have tough skin, and it takes a certain breed, of a woman to be able to be with someone like that for such a long time. And I know you've had this, like, I don't know how it was for you, but for me, I know it was tough navigating those first times going to shows and seeing just all the women and like, and the attention, and just like, I was young when we've been together for, I don't know, it's going to be 2021, like it's going to be 20 years. And it's like, I was a different person. Like I was younger and I was just learning, and maybe I wasn't 100%, on the real, secure in my skin. So it challenged me, and I think it helped me grow in a lot of ways, because it challenged me. It's like, okay, well, why do I feel this way right now? Like, am I insecure? Like, why am I insecure? Because I'm not insecure in my relationship? Am I not secure with the way I look? Like, there were so many different things happening at once early on. Now I could give a fuck, but also it's a different situation too, right? Like, before it was like they were recognized more, Now, not so much. It depends on what spaces. Depending, certain
Yeah.
spaces
Yeah,
all day long. But
for
so,
sure.
how did you handle? How was it for you in the beginning, and how is it now?
So in the beginning, I was a completely different person. I'm like on one end of the spectrum.
Right. The growth.
Yeah, exactly. And, in terms of just age, right? Like I was, I'm about to hit like this year, a pillar in my life in terms of my age. So thinking back then, I was just like, okay, seeing like the girls that would like wear the low cut tops and they would push to the front and then they would just like, be on stage and just like rap every word to the song, and that was new for me. Or just, cause I wasn't trying to be all like, oh, hold my hand, hug me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you do you, boo. Like, I'm here to support you. And that's something you also have to understand, that that's not how it is. You
Yeah.
can't just be all like, oh, affectionate and things like that's not the space for that. They're in the zone. So one, you have to understand that. And then two, when you have like, people come around and, they're just looking at your, the whole group, like with starry eyes, I was just observing, I think, because
Yeah.
I was so young, I was just like in observant mode, but I feel like you do also need to be secure in the relationship between you two, that you can both like, that's why I'm so excited that one thing that I can say we have in common and why I think they also love us is because we always have maintained our own identities
Yeah.
and always had our own lives.
Yep.
That is something that I think is so key and important to when you're dating someone with status.
Yeah.
Because if you're waiting at home, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. Or if you're just off to the side and your mind can go all these different places.
Yeah.
But, I'm like, let me bring my camera. Can I get in the pit? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to practice, or I just want to shoot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was exciting for me in that sense. So I would always keep myself busy. I wasn't just always like, I'm like, can I get a press pass? Why can't I get a press pass? Like, I just want to shoot photos. Or, I would just be on a certain part of the stage, or I would get really cool, and this was for me. I wasn't getting paid or anything. It was just something I loved. But yeah, I think that if you to deal with that kind of stuff, like, you do need to be your own individual person, and have your own thing to also combat all the stuff that can come with it. I think I mean, at least it worked for me. Right.
Yeah.
It just made me like, plug out the bullshit, I mean, even when they would be on tour, like sometimes it's not like you get a call every day.
No.
Like, no, you have to understand, like, they're performing, literally ending the show. They're getting in a car to drive to the next city. And then they do that all over again.
Yeah. Sound check. Da-da-da. It's a grind.
It is. It's not easy. So sometimes if I wouldn't get a call, like I never had any summers. We never had any summers together. No birthdays. My birthday's in the summer. Spring breaks, like all the key, when they have festivals, it's like, oh, that's when I'm like, cool, peace, be safe. I'm going to go hang out with my homies, or do, I have work and do my own thing. So, and again, it just having that communication, I guess, and strengthen your relationship to know that, like, I don't got to worry, and, oh, she can go look, and she, whatever, but not have it affect you in that way and let it take over you. So,
yeah.
No,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. And it's like, I think you have to be that way in any relationship, whether if you're in a civilian, in a relationship with the guy who's a civilian or not, or a person who's a civilian or not. Like, I think that's just a healthy relationship, right? Where your whole identity doesn't depend on the other person. You have your own, they have their own, and it's that little Venn diagram where the circles overlap just a little bit. and then you have your own thing. And I think that's the key to why we've both been in these relationships for such a long time. Cool. Well, I just want to touch upon that because I think it's a very interesting side, because I think a lot of people want to romanticize, oh, everything must be awesome because you're with someone that's tours and nah, B. Like it's,
No, you don't get to go.
you
Like,
don't get to
that's
go.
not,
And I wouldn't
no,
want to go. My friend's like,
no.
you don't want to, why don't you want, not for what? So that I could be with him when he's in a bad mood because they're just going, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do
Totally.
I don't want to be around
Exactly.
that shit.
No, because they turn into they turn into grumpy people when they have something coming. You know what I'm saying? And more power to them because it's what they do. You put yourself out there.
It's a lot.
Your art is out for the world to either love or criticize, right? And you have to understand that.
Yeah.
And so, do I want to be around that? Oh, what do you mean you're going to go to Paris and I don't get to like go here and there? Like you can't go with me. Cause that's not how it is. That is not tour.
Exactly.
That is a vacation and they are not on vacation.
They're not on vacation. Yeah. If Beyonce's talking about she's been to Paris back in the days, I saw an interview. She was talking about she's been to Paris so many times. She's like, but I've never seen the Eiffel Tower. Like, because she's working. Like if she's not even, and she's at that level, these motherfuckers ain't vacationing that much either, and it's just like, give them that space. So, and then we, when we get together, we get together.
Exactly.
Okay. So this is a section called questions and comments from the audience. A little surprise for our guests. So let's go with the first one. The first one says, she's been looking real good. What's the secret to being a boss and also having time to take care of yourself? And this is from, and I'm going to mess up probably one of your good friends' names, Doña Carmenia?
Oh, Charmaine.
Charmaine. Oh, I can't read. Sorry.
Yeah, we call her Doña. That's like, when your friend, she's like the boss, like, the Doña, you know what I mean? So, I love her. Shout out to Charmaine.
It says Charmania. Because I got
that's
these
her.
from.
That's her IG name.
Oh, got it. Okay. Sorry for fucking up your name.
No,
Doña Charmaine. So that's from her. So what's the answer to that one?
Okay, so I actually I'm going to give a big shout out to my peak performance coach, Camille Rose Soler. So over the last almost 2 years now, I invested in myself and my business in terms of, getting my mindset right. Because being in a leadership role is not something that I ever saw myself in nor expected. And then when it hit me, it was hard. It was really, really hard because like I said, it was just not something that I saw for myself. And so I said, I saw her and, again, shout out to Sammy G. She's like, she's really good. And we should like look into like what she does. So she is a peak performance coach that, works on the mindset with like high profile, like CEOs and people with big businesses. And so in the last 2 years, I've been working with her and, we check in, weekly. But she's taught me a lot about mindset. And holds me accountable for a lot of the things that I say that I'm going to do. And so it's been so great to have her a part of my journey and a part of my growth. Definitely the growth was from these conversations with, my peak performance coach. So if you guys are ever interested, hit up theultimatelife.com. And she's been amazing. Actually, I'm going to talk to her tomorrow. So again, we have our weekly check-in. But it's just like little simple, it's not really things that you don't know. It's just things that like a simple linguistic shift can really change your perspective on things. I feel like I'm a lot calmer because of it. I feel like I look at things differently. I process things differently than before I was doing this. So that's one thing that I can say that I'm constantly doing. And another thing, so to circle back to the question overall, self-care is so important. And that's one thing that I've definitely learned. When I started working at the school, the lifestyle was such a big adjustment, right? And then we went into work mode. I mean, we were throwing like anywhere from like 50 events a year, like sometimes 2 to 3 events a month. Even if they were small, we were like constantly throwing events, and that's on top of running a school.
Yeah.
That's on top of having a family. That's on top of, my commute. I also commute. So it wore me to the ground, and I gained so much weight. I stopped taking care of myself. My first step was my peak performance coach. And then I got to a place when the pandemic hit, I still didn't stop. Like, I overworked myself, basically, is what I did. I just kept working. Finally got to a place during the pandemic where I said, okay, I can't keep doing this to myself. And so I went keto.
Oh, nice.
I went keto in October, and it's been great. Especially because Babs and I are both doing it, and
nice.
I feel better. So I've realized that I need to make sure that I take care of myself first and foremost, which, you're supposed to do that, but do you really do it? You do not. And now that I've built my habits to where, like, I literally have a regimen in the mornings, I make sure I work out at least 30 minutes a day. Got my Apple Watch to hold me accountable too, which I really love. If that's something you need, I definitely highly recommend that. But so now that I'm working on my mind. Now I'm working on my body, which is now going to give me the space to work on my soul and feed my soul in the way that I need to. So, for that, it's definitely take care of yourself first and foremost.
Awesome. Yep. And for sure, I'll have all of that information of your coach and everything like that, and anything we talk about in this episode in the show notes. So, second question, comment from the audience. If you could go back in time and speak to your 21-year-old self, what advice would you give her? And this is from someone we both love and know, Nico. Nico Beats.
Oh, my love. Man, first of all, I would slap my 21-year-old self. If I look back, I'm such a different person. Like, sometimes when I even think of like how I was when I was 20, I'll be like, ew, girl, like, ooh, stupid. Like, seriously, all my mistakes make me who I am, but girl, my 20s were just not my highlight. Let me just tell you. If I could tell my 21 self anything, I would tell myself to not be afraid of what people think, and don't put so much weight on what your parents want from you. And I also would definitely tell myself, hey, if you love art, if you love all the things that you've been gravitating towards, keep gravitating towards it instead of trying to please, trying to fall into the norm of what society wants from you, right? To have a stable job and a family, and do that, wake up and do that every day. So that's what I would tell myself. Like, it's, feed your soul. So that's definitely what I say. Feed your soul, whatever you love, just like keep going towards it instead of being afraid of what someone's going to tell you and what somebody is going to, like I said, just criticize you about. And that would that's always what would stop me. Like, I think I was just trying to please other people. Yeah. And the last person I was trying to please was myself. So and I would smack her upside the head and be like, girl, he ain't it, she ain't it. Like, I just yeah, it's been a bit, it's been a big growth from then to now. So
yeah. And I think that what you and a lot of pretty much almost, I think everybody that I've had on so far that have been a huge part of my tribe is that you've made your own lane. And you, especially being first generation, or you know what I'm saying, a child of immigrants, all that stuff, being of color, being a woman of color, it's not, it's breaking away from what society says is success. Like you said, I need to have a house, I need to have a car, I need to have a job that I'm just, hamstering the wheel. And I feel like all of us have have our own individual or, unique journeys, but we got there on our own and realized this is what makes me happy, like, and stuff like that. So that's very important. Awesome. Okay, the last one, questions or comments from the audience is, what can I say about Maricel? Self-taught photographer, videographer, designer, producer, organizer, and so much more. Not only is she an integral part of the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound team, where she earned the nickname The Principal, but she is also the founder of Ladies of Sound. She is a creative force who also happens to be my best friend, fiance, and amazing stepmom. She inspires me, keeps me grounded, and pushes me to be the best I can be every day. That is from your man, DJ Babu. How cute is that? So
Oh,
sweet.
yeah. I was like, oh, it's from him. I can tell. Not because that's my best friend. So,
No, that's so cute. Oh, he's the best. And he's such he's such a sensitive is not the right word, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he's very in tune with his feelings and he's not afraid to express them. And, I really like that about Babu. He's very sincere and genuine.
Yes, he's a very sweet and very kind-hearted man. I feel it's so funny because when people now, when the school opened, nobody really had access to them in that capacity, right? And they see his pictures, and I've heard this from so many people, like they're like, "Oh my God, he's a teddy bear. He's so sweet. He's so nice." But when I see his pictures, I thought he was just like this hard ass, this like, like don't talk to me. He had that look about him, right? And then he's like in class, like cracking jokes and just being fun and carefree, and he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like, he makes me laugh up to this day. Like, and it's not never planned. It's always just, he's so witty. So, yeah, it's been a fun ride with him, and I feel very blessed, especially with Nico and Micah in my life as well. That whole relationship in general has definitely been a pivotal part of my growth as a person.
Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Okay, we're getting short on time, but I want to get into a couple of the not so rapid fire questions, aka the slow as hell questions. I'm going to give you a couple. Let's see. The first one's easy. 3 words to describe yourself.
Ooh.
Or maybe not so easy.
Yeah, not so easy. Oh shit. Okay, I haven't been asked that question. I don't even know. Let's see. Loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
And real.
Please believe it. Please believe it. Okay, second one. What is the best piece of advice you've received?
The best piece of advice I have received is from my dad. So early on, my dad always told me, "You are a woman. You are a Filipino woman, a woman of color. Life is not going to be easy for you, and you're always going to have to work 2 times harder than anyone else in the room." And that has always stuck with me. And I feel like it basically set me up for where I'm at now, because I've always had those things in mind, that nothing's going to get handed to me. And it's going to always be hard. And I think that mentally set me up to just not, just to, again, help me develop my tough skin as a person. So shout out to my dad.
Yay. Awesome. Okay. And then because of where you work and what we all love and stuff, I couldn't move forward and not ask this question. What is the song to get you hyped? What is your one of, I'm sure you have many for different occasions, but what is one of your go-to get hyped songs?
Ooh, man. That is a good one. I have so many songs. Do I talk about the one that I'm currently into?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm just going to actually say the song that I really love right now. It's special because nobody's heard it yet, because I just so happen to just, have the plug. Somebody's about to release his album this coming Friday, but I think I already have a song that's on volume 4. And so funny, he sent it to me last night. It's, I don't know, it's just if there's one artist I will say that gets me hype, I will say it's Janet Jackson. Love Janet Jackson, because I was bugging him. I was like, can you please flip this song? Can you please flip that song? And I'm still bugging him to flip like all of my favorite Janet songs, not his, but my favorite Janet songs, and to do a whole album and then to dedicate it to me. But yeah, I love Janet, and I love Krung Bin. And man, so many songs right now, but those are the two artists that come to mind. So I would say if it was like somebody that's like, that's been around, it's Janet. No particular song. I love all her songs. And then another, my favorite band who I'm so happy to see just blow up, over the last like 5 years, is Krung Bin. They are just amazing, and it's nice to see real instruments get put back into the fold, and it's like real artistry, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why I have so much respect for them. I remember when I first heard their song, again, shout out to Sammy G, she was playing it, and I was like immediately like, who's that? Like I had to know. And then when I went into their whole discography, I was just like hooked, again, because you don't see too many people doing that these days that are reaching the levels that they are. So when I see them like on a Corona commercial, I'm like, okay, or I hear them in Target, like it's a big trip, but I always get hype on all of their stuff. So
yeah, they're great. I saw them, I guess 2 years now because of the pandemic, but I saw them at Desert Days, and they did stuff. I saw a little bit of their set. Right. And I kind of knew their music, but to see them in person was the next level. And then they were with Wu-Tang doing stuff there.
Yeah.
And did you see they're going to be at the Greek Theater in October. They just announced their show.
Yeah, I spent 2 hours getting tickets yesterday.
I figured. I
was like, I'm not really sure how this pandemic is going. I'm a little nervous, but I didn't
ready.
give a fuck. I was like, let me just buy those tickets. And I'm not a fan of Access because they didn't refund my Freddie Gibbs and Mad Libs tickets from last year, and they were ignoring me. But I still did it anyway because, I'm just like, I need to see them live. I just miss live music,
So much. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so last one. So I have this new one. So I'm trying to figure out which one. Okay, I'm going to ask you this new one. This brand new one. You're the second person I've added this to my list. If you have or haven't watched WandaVision, this question comes from Fat Man Beyond, Kevin Smith, and Mark Bernardine. Someone in chat asked them live, if you could have anyone, who would that one person be that you would watch TV with, that you can bring back, that I've crossed over, that you can bring back,
that's
and
so
you watch
easy.
TV with?
That's so easy. Oh, I'm gonna cry now. That's my grandma. That's my grandma. That's my dog right there. I miss her because that's actually what we used to do. It's funny because I don't really talk about that much in terms of like I actually know a lot about older movies because back then when the AMC channel wasn't Walking Dead, it was actually all the classic, real classics.
Yep.
And that was something that she loved. So, even though I was like a lot younger and I'm like, what is this? I would sit there and watch it and then realize I'm like, some of these movies are not that bad. And then and now I can appreciate the cinematography and all of that. But yeah, if there's anybody, I would definitely bring back, as I did watch WandaVision. That's such a good show, by the way.
Right? You got to watch it if you haven't.
Yeah, but it was sad. That's the thing. That's the, at the end, it was just like, oh my gosh,
Cheers.
but it was nice that she got to have that time back. And if I could have that time back, I would definitely bring back my Lola.
Love that. Yeah. Oh, so I think, you're the second person. I think I'm gonna keep this question. I feel like it's just such a good one to have those memories and stuff, because it's either you did watch TV with them or it would be nice to watch TV with them. When I heard the episode, all the guys were crying when they were telling their stories. I was crying listening to it while I was doing dishes. I mean, it puts you in that zone.
Yeah, you got me there, because now I'm like thinking about her. I mean, I still think about her up to this day. It's been for a little over 4 years.
No.
But when you just love somebody that much and that person loved you that much, it's like that unconditional love that is like, that you will never, that's like the one, it's like so special.
Yeah.
And then now you can't hug, see,
just anybody,
see her. Yeah. It's, of course that's, like I still have some of her stuff, and I have her like beanie, and I'm like, it still smells like her. Also,
the best. And you don't want to.
I keep all that stuff.
You keep it like in a Ziploc bag or something to keep the smell in.
I'm probably I hoarded a lot of her stuff, to be honest. It's in one of my. Yeah, like I still have like she has some really cute clothes, like purses. Cute. I couldn't part with it. I felt like maybe someone could benefit from, like, it was really cool, like some of the styling, like now that's in, and I just thought like, oh, maybe I'll, sell that one day. No, can't. It's not ready yet. I mean, it doesn't fit me. My grandma was tiny, so I was like, okay, I at least can keep some of the stuff. But
maybe
yeah, that's. Yeah, well, the beanie and the purse is super cute. Boom. And so,
cute.
So that's what I would bring back.
Amazing. Maricel, muchísimas gracias for doing this. I had a wonderful time learning more about you and just seeing your growth from when I met you and to this day, and, hearing, like, oh, please believe it, we're going to have a conversation about your counselor. But like to see that growth and for you stepping in, you're a creative, and it doesn't matter if you're what medium, if you're a photographer, marketing, putting shit together for a school, that doing a system, a back end that never existed. It's thinking outside the box. It's like you were saying, you got your skills from your corporate job, from working at the bank, from your photography. Because as a photographer, you always have to, people don't understand it, especially at live events, something like that's not just a wedding, but more than that, at live events, you got to be thinking on your toes. You got to try to get all these shots. You're not always going to have access to get the shots that you're paid to get. So you got to figure that shit out.
Yeah, and that's what's funny, because I'm naturally shy, so you can't be shy when you're a photographer.
No. So, Maricel, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies of Sound, the official women's division of the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, a platform created to support women in the DJ and music community. We love educating, training, and recognizing women all across the spectrum. From veterans who have been in the game to those who just need that community to help get themselves started. Our goals are to create opportunities in all facets of our industry and ultimately inspire the future generation of women in music. Visit ladiesofsound.com for more information. That's LADIESOFSOUND.com. And now, introducing
the Supernatural Bear Corner. Supernatural Bear. Hello, Autobots and Decepticons and everything in between. I am SNB16, and today, in honor of my Auntie Maricel's episode, I am going to give you 3 special facts about her. Now, number 1, if you haven't heard already, from the promo, the Beat Junkies Ladies of Sound, I think?
Ladies of Sound.
Oh, yeah, just Ladies of Sound is composed by my Auntie Maricel.
She's one of the founders.
One of the founding mothers, or founding fathers, if you will. I really hope I don't get copyrighted by whoever George Washington was reborn into. I really hope I don't get copyrighted for that. Anyway, second fact about it is that so she again was one of the founding fathers or founding mothers of Ladies of Sound, of course. And then number 2 for the next fact, she knows dilated pupils. And I know dilated pupils. And my mom over here in the back eavesdropping on me knows dilated pupils. And for the yearly episode, you'll probably hear why. But for now, let's just say that she's a good friend with one of the members. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And number 3, if you haven't already heard, she's staying strong. Like, Ladies of Sound's pretty cool. If you are a lady like my mom and my Auntie Maricel, then I recommend you go there if you like to, learn a little bit of the basics, the fundamentals of how to really get into DJing. It's really cool. I recommend. And that was 3 facts about my Auntie Maricel. This has been the SMB.
Shooby-doo. Da-da-da-da-wah. Episode 28. There you have it. Maricel, how dope is that story? You know, you never know. The things that, the experience that you have, you never know how it's going to prepare you for whatever is to come. But I think the moral of the story, of her story, of pretty much everyone on here, the through line to everyone's story is the nonlinear career path. And also just being passionate about what you do. And if you're a creative, you're a creative. You don't have to stick to one medium or practice. I think, that's one of the things. And also, when you work for yourself, you have to wear so many hats that you have this thing that I hope to have my friend Shani on here. She heads the artist relations and more for festivals. Like when she would hire us, it would just be like, I need someone with that figured outness. And that's what you have to do all the time, basically, when you work for yourself. And you start something new. Maricel didn't know how to, there was nothing that existed, a pre-existing app to help set up the infrastructure for a DJ school, So she had to customize that shit. She had to figure it out and make it happen. And I think another lesson that we can take away from this episode is just, maintaining your self-identity in any relationship, whether you're with a regular person or someone that's a little bit more high profile for whatever reason. So, yeah. Good stuff. Also, I just realized that, I don't know, we're 28 episodes in. I never said you have questions? You can DM, you can email at hola at wordtoyourmama.com. Go to the website. I mean, there's a lot of ways to reach us, to reach me, really, because just me. And, hit us up, ask us questions or whatever. Also, if you want to support, boom, leave a review. That helps more people know who we are. And know about us. We could spread that word. Tell your family, tell your friends. And as always, we reap. Word to Your Mama is owned and produced by Ritzy P. Intro, produced by Nico Beats. Episodes and so much more, including mental health resources, can be found at wordtoyourmama.com. And as always, Word to Your Mama is brought to you by ritzyperiwinkle.com and panoplybpo.com.